the NBA is now discussing measures that would allow players to cite their mental health, similar to a physical injury, according to
Hmm.
Shams. So, what's your opinion on this? That this is pretty groundbreaking, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, what's your feelings about this?
Yeah, so they would be, I think, the first professional league to even like implement, say, a mental health day. I'm a massive advocate for these days. And I think, just as recently as today, and if you have not, I strongly recommend everyone going to Players Tribune and taking in the
Yeah,
powerful words from John Wall
yeah,
of just the struggles that he's gone through over the last couple of years, losing his best friend, losing his mom, losing himself really, and pulling himself out of a dark hole and to be so vulnerable. I think Ben Simmons was also talking about mental health. We've had
right.
so many great, wonderful examples of NBA players coming forward and not bearing that stigmatized shame around mental health. It's a very serious thing. And I think you see it in the ways that players wear their hearts on their sleeves. There's the happy emotions and there's the tough emotions that everyone's trying to navigate through. So I think this is a massive step forward for the NBA. It's a massive step also forward for those that might not feel empowered or comfortable enough to come forward with things that they are dealing with, but do also understand and know that there is a resource available to them. I love how the league has progressed in such a way to make sure that players know that they are taken care of. Yes, from like the financial literacy point and the know hows and know whats of how to get into the league and conduct yourselves and schedules and all of the things. But really the true question and the real conversations that have to be had and have to have space for is how to take care of yourself, not even from a physical nutrition stance, is a mental stance. I was on the road for like the first time last season, right? That thing takes a toll, and you think about the players schedules, what they go through too, also balancing a home life, a social life as well. It's a lot to take on. So I'm really, really happy that the league has settled on this.
Oh, go ahead, man.
Kayla, I'm sorry, just a quick follow up on that. I know this is still a plan that's coming into fruition and a new, option for these players, a new potentially need, of course, with these mental health
Hmm.
situations. From a nuts and bolts perspective, is that something where they're thinking like a psychiatric evaluation is involved in this sort of release, or the players kind of dictate this?
Well, I think that that's a real very important question is who
Hmm.
gets to decide who's going through what, right? And how do you
Sure.
measure that? I think that there's a great trust. Obviously, the Players Association is having incredibly open, honest conversations. And because they're so open and honest, only authenticity is breeding from those conversations, right? I think a lot of guys would say, Of course, I want to play. But when you look at, say, injuries and mental health at the same level, there are going to be times where you're roadblocked from that and you need to be honest about both things, right? So I think that there's an equal level of trust that if people come forward and say, I need a day or I need some time or I might need some resources in this regard, the NBA has to take that seriously. You have to take people's word at it. Sick days, let's say. I can't walk up to your house mat if you're calling in sick and be like, well, are you really in there? There's a
Sure.
level of trust and conduct. And I think when you look at the CBA, when you look at contracts being signed, there's an honor system there of how you would conduct yourselves accordingly and openly and honestly. So I think that they don't really need to have so much language around this day or this resource, rather, in order to make sure people are telling the truth.
Do you foresee any kind of pushback to that? I mean, I imagine, of course, if like an owner pushes back against this or something, it's
Oh
going to
yeah,
be a
we'll for
PR
sure see.
disaster.
Yeah, we'll
But
we'll see an owner push back, right? Because I think sometimes when we see the words, "Well, this is a business," at the end of the day, obviously
mm,
from a business standpoint, you want the best product forward, which means you want your best players out there. But guess what? These are people at the end of the day,
sure,
and these are more than athletes at the end of the day. And think about the sacrifices that they all make. And yes, they of course make money, big money than the average Joes like us out here that are just. But at the end of the day, ownership makes billions with a big B. So, I think that yes, we'll probably see some pushback, and even too for maybe some coaches who might be of an old school mind of you have to show up, you have to push through. But I think with a little bit more education and openness, and also seeing the repercussions of that type of mentality, I think a lot of pushback against that type of mentality and mindset is going to help move this forward.